What's going on, everybody? One of the things I left off with in part two, I meant to kind of tie up a little bit on the Ledger site, was that they have an entire section called Ledger Academy, which I'm going to share with you now. And that Ledger Academy, literally, if you're going to be putting in any time to kind of brush up on some of these topics and learn something new, this is a very good place to do it if you decide to go with Ledger. They have a glossary that takes you pretty much from A to Z. If you ever wanted to look at different types of terms and really internalize them and understand them, maybe assimilate them to what you already know in the banking and finance world, and then try to bring it on and learn this new language that everybody's learning. And you go all the way down to Z, and it's got everything in between. So just to keep that in mind, put the time in to learn these things. You can even search by topic if you want to learn definitely on these topics. And even the tutorials at the bottom where my little screen is, which just disappeared, gives you tutorials on how to use Ledger. So if you're ever stuck on something and you're like, what do I do with this now? You can go to that, and there's incredible videos on this that take you step by step. And they're like 2, 3, 4 minutes. So it's not going to take a lot of time out of your day. But let's just go into we'll go into these. All right, and you can sort all these videos here. If you want to learn about any of these topics, they're all there for you. What is cloud mining? What is a Bitcoin mixer? What is delegated proof of stake, DPoS? So again, 6 minutes, 6 minutes, 9 minutes, put the time in. If you do an hour a day of this, after about 5 or 6 weeks, you have now just put in 40 something hours of time investing in yourself to learn exactly what you're investing in, to really save yourself, and protect yourself and spread that risk out. This is not like going to a bank where you think it's safe, and it's safe because you just checked your app on the bank and it says you got $3,000 in the account, and you can spend up to that much. This is not what this is like. You're going to have to become an expert in this to really put these things together. I'll assist where I can on trying to explain some of this stuff that's sometimes seemingly complex and sometimes unnecessarily complex, just to simplify it for us so we can all get on the same page and come out on the other end of whatever this is going to look like after this disastrous crash happens. Let's come out victorious on this and move ahead. So with part 3, I'm going into my OneNote again. I'm going to discuss the pin on your ledger versus the passphrase. And let me see if I have, so Nano S, Nano X both look like flash drives. And the S has 2 little buttons on the top of them that you can navigate the device. And then if you can see on this X, that little circle there, it's not just to keep the flash drive moving. On the other side, there's 2 buttons like that circle that will allow you to also navigate left, navigate right on the device. And then when you want to select something like an account or a confirmation of an exchange of a signature, sending money out, sending coins out, you just hit both of them at the same time, similar to navigating any other device that you would have, maybe the screen in your car when you're navigating, trying to find how to set the bass and the treble. Same thing. Press one button to move down, and then you press both buttons or something to confirm it. So let's go to my OneNote again, because I can't get enough of this thing. So let's suppose you decide to go with Ledger. And you got the Nano S or the Nano X. As I mentioned, the X looks like a flash drive type device, and it's got 2 little buttons on the top, and it's got a little screen here to select items of whatever you're trying to. If you're trying to set up a passcode and you need to go left, you hit the left button. If you need to go right, you hit the right button. And then when you want to select a number that says, okay, the first number in my passcode, the numbers will be up to 8 numbers. I think you can select between 4 and 8. So if you decide to go the full 8, and your passcode is like like that idiot on Spaceballs with the combination to his luggage, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's your passcode, then you go left, left, left till you get to number one, and then hit both buttons at the same time to select number one as the first number in your passcode. And then same thing, left, right to get to number two, select both buttons at the same time to hit number two, so on and so forth. Those videos and tutorial videos show you how to do it. Nano X is very similar in size, a little more advanced. It's got Bluetooth. And what it's got is it's got two buttons like this here, left and right, but it's still like circular buttons left and right. And again, if you want to select the passcode, because that's the combination to your luggage, then left, 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 right, right, right to get it. Press them both at the same time to select what you're selecting for. Now, this thing will, quote unquote, this screen will log out after activity for a little bit. So you're going to have to put in your passcode if you're just, if you're messing around with it and you're trying to get stuff done with it, they're going to ask you to put in this passcode. So if you don't want to be putting in a bunch of numbers, you can select your PIN number at the lower end, which is 4. Or like I did 8 numbers. I selected mine at 8 and up it goes. So either one is fine, however you're navigating this accordingly. There's step-by-step instructions in the box when this comes. There's plenty of tutorials on Ledger Academy. And if you think you want to take the YouTube gamble and just type in how do I set up my PIN on my Ledger Nano S or my X and just type it into YouTube, there's a lot of people who have done tutorials that are far more advanced because they show you what you're looking at rather than my caveman drawings that I'm showing you on my OneNote. So take that where you need to. There's plenty of resources out there. Now, your PIN number is, like I said, this is going to be used for your periodic transactions. This is not something you have to do and look at and hook up every day. Like I said, I leave it in my Faraday bag in my my safe in a spot where I know it is. And when I need it to move coin around, either to send to friends or family, to their own wallets, or to my brokerage account, to my exchange, in order to sell it and put fiat back into the bank. Why would we ever do that? I get it. The PIN number is what you're going to use to get in and out. Think of it as the key to your bedroom door, your house door. You use that a lot when you're getting in and out and you're moving things around and going back and forth. Think of the PIN as similar to your Bank of America PIN number if you have the Bank of America app or the TD Bank app or the Wells Fargo app, in order to get in and out and conduct the things that you need to conduct financially and economically. That's the purpose of the PIN. So it's a safeguard against anybody just getting into your device, hooking it up to the software and moving money around when you're not home or when you leave your laptop unattended to and you got some nefarious creatures hanging around, which you shouldn't have nefarious creatures hanging around anyway. That's up to you, however that happens in your day-to-day life. Just think of that 4 to 8 digit code as similar to a banking password PIN. Now, your recovery phrase is a little bit different. Recovery phrase, I think for Ledger, if I remember correctly, it's 24 words. Yeah. For you to restore your access to your vault. Think of your recovery phrase as if you had a big safe in your closet, cast iron, enormous, holds really valuable stuff. We're talking gold and precious metals and maybe some rare artifacts that are just worth a lot of money. Maybe a Honus Wagner rookie baseball card that I think was selling for in the millions. Stuff that you don't want anybody to have access to. And if they do try to gain access to it, it's going to take them a long time to get into it. You don't go around handing out your banking PIN number, and you don't go around handing out the combination to the safe in the vault in your closet. This is the purpose of this, because there are a lot of things that can happen to these devices. You can step on them and crush them, and they're not operable anymore. Some of them I think both of these on the ledger side, they have battery life to them. So when you hook the little USB cable up to your phone, up to the device, it actually charges them. Well, what happens if the battery craps out and you can't use the device anymore? What happens if there's a house fire and this thing gets burnt to a crisp, blackened and spiced Nano S and Nano X? Or what happens if someone steals it? You know, is your crypto gone? No, because the crypto that you own and the proof that you own it is actually on the blockchain itself. This device gives you a PIN number and a 24-word key or recovery phrase or a combination to your safe to access that in case any of those above things happen. It gets crushed, the battery craps out, it gets stolen, or it dies in a fire. Whatever the case may be, or you'll lose it. You know, you're traveling around a world with it and it drops down a drain somewhere in Indonesia and you don't know where to get it. What happens? I had $38 million on that worth of crypto. What happens? Well, at this point, the recovery phrase, you have that, which should be written down on paper and not in front of any internet camera that you can think of. You should not record it electronically. You should not snap a picture of it on your phone. You should not put it on a Zoom video and show what it is and then screenshot it and save it for later just so you always have it. You keep it separate from the internet because once somebody gets a hold of this, you're done for. So when the above happens and these things are kaput and the device you spent $79 on is no longer, and the device you spent $149 on is no longer, you just go back to the ledger site, get a new Nano S. It'll come in the mail from the company, not from eBay, not from Amazon. It'll come from the company in the mail. You'll get a new device. And when you hook up that device to your laptop, there will be a spot where you can say something along the lines of activate with recovery phrase. And then you go through the step-by-step to activate with the recovery phrase. Now you have your Nano S up and running because the last one got burned, the last one got lost or stolen. Now you still have access to do the things that you did before, as long as you have that 24-word recovery phrase, which the device and the software walk you through how to do that when you get a new one. So if you get one that's gone kaput, just buy a new one from the site, activate the recovery phrase that you had before, you're back up and running. Now, what happens if you lose the recovery phrase, but you still have the device? Never a nice spot to be in. So what you do there, you've now lost the recovery phrase, but the device is still good. All right. Same thing. Get a new device like you did on the first time, because you still have the old device and you still have access to it. The PIN number gives you access to your crypto as long as the device still works. So if you lose the recovery phrase or it burns down or whatever the case may be, just get a new device from the company, set up a new PIN and a new pass phrase, I guess you could call it. I think it's called passphrase. New recovery passphrase, a new PIN on a new device. Now you got two separate devices with different pins and different recovery passphrases. And then because this is not dead, I probably shouldn't have messed this up the way I did. But because your device is still alive and still active, you just lost the recovery phrase. Start transferring all of your coin from your old device down to your new device. It'll have its own wallets, its own addresses. And that way you have your old device transferred to your new device with its own wallets. It'll take some time. It's a pain in the ass, don't get me wrong. But you've taken this spot out where if you keep this open and you don't have this because it's lost, a lot of risk in case that system goes busto, which could happen. You know, you're trying to mitigate risk here by keeping these things off the exchanges, you got to be careful with them. You have to put in the time, the TLC, to make sure that your assets are secured. Mind the fucking shop, mind the fucking business, as Lewis said. But just get a new device, you get a new PIN, new recovery passphrase, and don't lose the 24-word passphrase this time, or don't get it stolen, or don't have it burned up. Just keep it on the piece of paper in your safe, in your combination vault, in your whatever you keep it in, that keeps your documents secure, that nobody should have access to. And I mean nobody. If your mother is asking you for your recovery passphrase and your PIN number, as much as you love your mother, this is not something that you give to even your own mom on this one. I'm serious about this. This is like handing over the keys to your car to a guy who looks like a carjacker in Newark, New Jersey. Carjacking capital of the world. Don't be that guy. Don't be that girl who does that. Wrapping this up, I want to clear some of the confusion out for it. Do the research, do the looking in, do the homework, and don't be afraid to, spend the $70 to $150 on a device and then walk yourself through it on how to do it. It's how I learned. And the most eye-opening spot of this space was when I was able to get the device in my hand and then figure it out. Did I make mistakes? Sure. Anything life-altering that's going to affect all of my assets and my holdings? No. So take the time to learn about it, take the time to do it, and then secure this off the exchanges so you've now taken self-custody and you've mitigated the risk of an exchange saying, Congress told us to shut you down, or the thing goes tits up, and then the next thing you know, you've lost all your holdings and you lost all of your assets that were just on your recent account that you can't log into anymore. Giant hugs, family. Good luck with this.